Hey everybody, Clint Swindoll here with this 6th video in the Tell Me Something Good video series, brought to you by Virginia Beach Economic Development. We are now at the 4th aspect in the simple formula. We started by looking at the S, stop wallowing around in the crud, and introduced 2 simple behaviors to help you do that. We then looked at the I, initiate relationships with positive people, and again introduced 2 simple behaviors to help you do that. We then looked in the last video at the M, manage your information flow, and again introduced 2 simple behaviors to help you do that. Now, let's look at the P in the simple model. The P stands for proactively reframe the bad stuff. This is important because we're faced with bad stuff every day. Now, the range of challenges we face in our life is broad, from losing a loved one to breaking a nail, and from losing a job to dropping a phone. While it may all seem to be bad, we have to figure out if it is. It may sound bad, but while we all experience bad stuff, we all seem to be affected differently. One person loses a best friend and says he's happy his friend is in a better place. Another person breaks a nail and reacts as if the world is coming to an end. Why is that? It may be because none of the bad stuff that happens to us has inherent meaning. We assign the bad stuff meaning based on how we interpret it. In other words, if we see a lost job as the loss of income and prestige, we'll assign the situation as bad. If we see a lost job as an opportunity to find a new job doing something we love, we'll assign the situation as good. The experiences in our life are just experiences. While some are worse than others, they still are just experiences. Even when something horrific happens in your life, it is only horrific because of the way you see it. Whatever you see as awful and unbearable is nothing until you label it awful and unbearable. Now, I realize that tragedy in any form is sad. When those things that are seemingly bad occur, we need to mourn. We need to experience normal human emotions. We all will frame it as the tragedy it is. Once we've experienced those normal human emotions, we can step back to look at it in the bigger picture of life. If we can frame an experience in our life based on the meaning we give it, we can reframe it once we process the tragedy. If we frame the loss of a loved one as tragic as we mourn, we can reframe it as comforting as we consider our loved one is no longer in pain. If we frame the loss of a job as devastating because we lost income, we can reframe it as positive as we consider the opportunity to learn a new skill. In fact, we should be able to reframe any thought in our head to something more positive. It's all about reframing, giving positive meaning to the bad stuff. Ultimately, it allows us to gain control of how the situation is impacting us. Reframing is a choice, and it's not always easy. While wallowing around in the crud is much easier, reframing will change your state of mind and get you moving again. Now, I recognize that a lot of people struggle with this because they think it's a denial that the challenge they're facing is a difficult one. I'll admit that I've felt that way, particularly when trying to help someone through their bad stuff. Telling someone it's a good thing their parent is in a better place after they've passed away can seem emotionless and, downright mean when someone is mourning. While it's important we take caution in the way we reframe, particularly for others, it's a significant aspect of moving beyond the bad stuff in our lives. So how do we proactively reframe the bad stuff? The first behavior I want to share is this: say good to the bad. If any situation in our life is bad because we've labeled it bad, then we can begin to see it as good by calling it good. You got furloughed from your job for 6 months. Good. You just found the time to learn a new skill. There's an accident on the highway that will make you late to work. Good. You just found some time to listen to that positive podcast you downloaded. Your boyfriend just left you. Good. Now you can take some time to find someone who values you and treats you with respect. It's all about reframing. Here's a great image that sums up reframing. While some people are sad when they think of the rain, Others are happy when they think of the rainbow to come. The second thing you need to do is ask reframing questions. We need to reframe things because of the way we initially framed them. Again, if we see something as bad, it's because we initially framed it as bad. One way to make reframing easier is to ask new questions. Questions like, will this situation mean anything to me in 5 years? Is there a lesson in this that will make me better in the future? Does this situation really make me unhappy? How could I look at this differently? What are my assumptions? What good thing can I see coming from this? The answers to questions like these may make it easier to see the good in the bad. For example, let's say you lost your job. Your negativity bias will probably have you think, well, isn't this just great? I'm going to be out looking for a job before we get fully through this pandemic. There's no telling how long I'll be out of a job since no one is going to want to hire someone my age. Why do these things always happen to me? Nothing good can come from thinking that way. You have the option of asking some reframing questions. Questions like, is this an opportunity to find a job more suited for my skills? Since I didn't much like my boss and, well, he didn't much like me, is this a blessing in disguise to be rid of that relationship? As I look for a new job, will this provide some flexibility to get some things done I've been needing to get done? Each of these questions can lead to someone saying good to the bad. I lost my job. Good. I now have the opportunity to find some place I can showcase my skills. Good. I can work on creating a better relationship with my next boss. Good. I'll finally have the time to finish that project I started last year while I'm looking for a job. It's all about reframing. So there you have it. 2 simple behaviors to proactively reframe the bad stuff. Say good to the bad and ask reframing questions. While this too may be one of the easiest aspects of the simple model because we can control it without significant influence from others, it requires the development of a habit. Most people are so accustomed to focusing on the bad stuff that proactively reframing it will take some time. Years ago, I was doing executive coaching with a client. She struggled with reframing. She was dealing with a lot in her life, and she simply couldn't naturally look for the good within the bad. Over the years, I have trained my brain to go there quickly. While I don't get there quickly every time, I get there as quickly as I can because I know it's one of the best ways for me to manage the struggle of getting past negative things. One of the reasons I get there quickly is I've practiced it. I've practiced before I ever experience the bad stuff, and it allows me and my brain to go there. Like everything related to overcoming negativity, it's a simple thing. Of course, it's of no value at all if you don't try it. To help you along, I've developed a PDF download of a simple exercise to get you thinking about the good that can come from any bad. Go to findthegoodinlife.com/VBED for the downloadable PDF. And before you move on to the next video, I want you to download it and give it a try. Taking this simple step will have an impact on helping you reframe the bad stuff in your life. And before we end this video, I want to applaud you for making it this far. We are 6 videos into an 8-video series, and most people will give up on something like this video series at this point. Research shows that the average reader never gets past the 3rd chapter of a book, so it's obvious most people quit before they get real value from an investment in their future. You, on the other hand, well, you have proven you take your development seriously. So for that, I just want to remind you how awesome I think that is. Now, go download the PDF, fill out that form, and I'll see you in the next video.